Well, after Shang-Chi, we plan to take all the remaining minority groups, Hispanic, deaf, gay, and we're just gonna lump them into one movie. Amazing. Alright guys, I know I'm late to this one, but I feel like the dust has finally settled with Eternals. The reviews are in. It's a very mixed bag. Right now, Rotten Tomatoes shows it at an amazing 47%, but the audience score giving it an 80%. So overall, this film I felt like just had so many good moments and so many bad moments. I think one thing that's really tough about this movie is that I think it suffers from what I like to call CVS. That is cartoon villain syndrome. Cartoon villain syndrome is when the main antagonist is a cartoon creature that is basically not believable at all. And so in this film, it's the deviants, and the deviants are kind of like these lizard creature things that really we don't get much background on, and so it's kind of hard to develop a hatred for them. They're kind of just running around all over the place eating people, because they gotta eat, and I think the deviants just didn't really get built up to be a true epic villain. And at one point we kind of have a deviant that becomes like the head honcho deviant, and he has become the most badass deviant of all, and he has extra superpowers. But where did this guy come from? Like, what made him so special compared to all the other deviants? Why him? And I think that was one tough part of the movie. I don't want to give away too many spoilers if you haven't seen it yet, but I also think the concept of the Eternals, you can look it up. They are created by the Celestials, and I just find it very hard to believe that the Celestials, which are these all-powerful beings in this movie, have the desire to make Eternals with flaws in them. For example, let's talk about the Eternal Makkari, who's played by the lovely Lauren Ridloff. I think overall she did a great job. It's really cool to see, deaf actors and actresses getting bigger roles, and, very cool to see sign language becoming part of more of these movies. You even saw this in John Wick a little bit. And so I have no problem with her being deaf. The problem is, how did she become deaf? Maybe she could have had an epic battle with one of these deviants where the deviant bit off her ears or did a deviant screeching yell into her ears, and that's what caused her to be deaf. But I find it hard to believe that the Celestial is just gonna randomly make a deaf person just cause. I think that one was a tough reach for me. And if you haven't seen it or heard about it, there is a gay couple scene in this movie. Now, I'm sure when this scene happened, you probably had a lot of people who look like this kind of guy freaking out, saying that a superhero would never be gay. I was not offended or anything like that, but he's been on planet Earth for 7,000 years. You're telling me he was never interested in dudes before? I just felt like they kind of threw that one in there. And so I'm not saying this is what happened, but I feel like after Black Panther, it was kind of like they sat down and they're like, hey, turns out people like Black Panther. All people. black people, white people, brown people, Black Panther is crushing it. That's awesome. What can we do next? Well, sir, I have a new movie lined up for you. It's called Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi? What's that about? It's about an Asian superhero. Asian? I love it. I knew you would. You want to hear what's after Shang-Chi? Why don't you tell me? Well, after Shang-Chi, we plan to take all the remaining minority groups, Hispanic, deaf, gay, and we're just gonna lump them into one movie. Amazing. So I don't know if that's what happened, but that's kind of how I felt. And one more thing, like I said, I don't want to give away too many spoilers, but the Celestials created the Eternals, so they have control over them. And let's just say Eternals go off script for a little bit, and I just kind of find it hard to believe that a Celestial wouldn't just freaking grab the Eternals and squash them like a bug. So that's why I think, there was just a lot of stuff that I think blatantly didn't make sense. And that's what probably brought the critic score down. Overall, like, the fight scenes were cool. The acting was, pretty decent. And I could see why the audience doesn't necessarily agree with the critics. But I think when you take a deeper dive into just the overall plot, I think there's a lot of holes, and that's what drove the critic score down. If you've seen the movie, let me know. Comment. What are your thoughts? Do you lean more towards the critics at a 47%, or are you more towards the audience side at an 80%? I would say I'm kind of somewhere in between. I'm going to give this one like a 69.5. And so that would be like, you're in high school, you're desperate for a C, and the teacher is a homie and they round you up. So that's my thoughts. Let me know yours, and I'll see you in the next one.